everybody, a happy Sunday. I hope that wherever you are and whatever you are doing, you are having an amazing weekend. I'm actually recording the Sunday Musing in the middle of the week, so my week is going pretty well, but my weekend is also shaping up to be pretty darned spectacular. Today on the Sunday Musing, I want to ask you a question that was prompted earlier this week by Michael, our cameraman, when he was filming with the Bolt EUV, the Chevrolet Bolt EV. There is a review. It'll probably be dropping in about 2 to 4 weeks' time. We have a lot of stuff to film in the next couple of weeks, and it takes a while to make things look pretty and get things out the door. It was also reinforced by Kate, who drove the Bolt EUV for a couple of days, and she said the same thing. Namely, the car makes too many noises. It has a special chime when you turn the car on that sounds a little bit like the, that's a stink bug. It sounds a little bit like the TX sound that you used to get on movies from Dolby, the THX even. And then it has plenty of warnings and bells and beeps and bops and other chimes when you're driving along. One to tell you that your Super Cruise is deactivated. One to tell you that there's someone in your blind spot. One to tell you that it's a day ending in Y. And I wanted to know from you all if you feel like modern cars make too much noise, especially modern EVs. Because obviously if you are used to driving an electric vehicle, you're used to the silence of an electric vehicle. You choose maybe to drive an electric vehicle not only because it's environmentally responsible and it's a good thing to do for your fellow humans, but also it is much quieter than your average run-of-the-mill internal combustion engine vehicle. And so therefore, having all of these beeps and bops and warning chimes might actually put you off wanting to drive it. And I know people cut cables where possible to kind of noisemaker speakers that are hidden under the dash. That's less of a thing than it used to be because now often it's actually integrated into the sound system. But I'm curious, would you choose an EV with fewer noises if you could? And if you're watching this in Europe, for example, or some other market around the world that isn't North America, you might not realize just how much North American cars beep and bop and chime and yell at you. And that's partly because the US especially, less so for Canada, but the US is a very litigious society and people like to claim that they didn't know that the idea is that you should put your seatbelt on or close the door. And so the chimes are there to nag you to a point that you just do the thing that the chime is trying to tell you to do. But at the same point, I think we have to be careful, because if we have too many chimes, then you become deaf to the chime. You ignore the chime. And someone on the team, and I can't remember who it was talking the other day about this is a problem in the airline industry. If you have too many warning symbols, too many warning chimes even on an aircraft, pilots start to ignore them. Not because they're intentionally choosing to, but because there is so much noise in the cockpit that those chimes, those warning bells, those alerts happen so frequently that they ultimately become part of the background noise. And so aircraft manufacturers have to work really hard to make sure that the number of warnings and alerts that is given on a daily basis by a plane are done so in a way that are not overkill, that do not get you to the point where you have that auditory fatigue from constant audio alerts and warnings. Now, the other thing obviously could be said for on-screen warnings. I have mixed views about on-screen warnings. I know Tesla used to, I haven't driven the latest software, but I know that Teslas used to display warnings on screen and say, "Oi, are you paying attention? You need to pay attention." And the on-screen warning was itself a distraction. Ford does it. Ford puts up a warning going, hey, you should be looking at the road ahead, and the warning pops up on the dashboard. And I find myself very regularly with my F-150 Lightning, if the truck thinks I'm in blue cruise mode and the truck thinks I'm not paying enough attention, it will warn me and say, hey, keep your eyes on the road. But it will display an alert on the dash that says keep your eyes on the road. And of course, when it bings and bongs at me, I then look at the alert to try and figure out what the alert is, which leads me to not paying attention to the road ahead. So I would love to know your thoughts in the comments below. Do you think the number of alerts we currently have in electric vehicles and other vehicles today is appropriate? Is it justified? Or do you think that there should be more control for individual drivers to pick which alerts are given to them? Or perhaps you just, a bit like me, would rather that the system only alerts you to really important stuff and allows you to completely silence everything else. I know different cars from different automakers have different levels of customizability in that regard. But if you know a particular automaker who is particularly egregious in using too many alerts, leave them below. Conversely, if you know of an automaker who is really very good about restricting the number of auditory signals that you receive when you're behind the wheel, leave that in the comments below too, because I'm very curious. I think here in North America, it's a bit overkill. I think in other parts of the world, less so. Let's start a conversation in the comments below. That is it for today. If you liked the video, be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to leave your thoughts below or in our free to join Discord chat room. There's a link in the video description. And if you really liked today's video, why not leave us a super thanks? It's easy to do and everything you do send goes towards helping us make great content. If you haven't already, make sure you've subscribed to this channel and to our other channel, the main channel, and give the bell a gentle ding to be told when our next video goes live. And before I go, do make sure you check out our regular video sponsors, Unspun and Energy Sage. There are links below. If you use either company and use the relevant codes, you will actually be helping us out a lot. Thanks on behalf of the entire TE crew go out to everyone who makes this channel possible. That includes everyone who supports us on Patreon and YouTube, as well as those of you who just watch the video and share it. If you are a supporter at the charged up level, you should see your name right here on my right. If you have just joined, your name might not be there yet. Don't worry, we do render the list about every week, but sometimes our videos are produced slightly in advance, like this one. It's produced a good 4 days before it's due to go live to the general public. Thanks to our self-driving tier supporters, Mike Weeder, Patrick Boyarski, Chris Maxwell, Bennett Elder, Brian Newton, Michael Goad, Andrew Martin, Pedro Mira Pinheiro, Brophy Wolf, Chris and Michael Johnson, Tazza in the Gong, Dan Blair, Peter Dillinger, Gordon C., Stephen O'Donoghue, Carl Hodgson, Anthony Coates, Regine Fellows, Denny Hyde, Chris Ascenta and Jim Burness. And of course, out of this world thanks to our Starman level supporters, Andrew Glenn, Anonymous Freak, JP Fagerback, Joe Bresney, John Lyons, Rory Litwin, Kevin Burrowbridge, Laura Reynolds, Marcel Ward, Matthew Drobnak, Paul Conway, Reggie Watts, Will Graylin and Ian. If you'd like to be part of that amazing list, it's really easy to do so. Whoops, I knocked the camera. You can follow the links below to support us on Patreon. You can become a YouTube channel member on both of our channels now, or you can send us your support through Bitcoin or Ko-fi, or in fact buy something cool from our swag store. And we will be back very soon with another Sunday Musing. But until then, thanks for joining me. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. And as always, keep evolving.